And let's talk about BYU Boise State. This one's interesting. We talked about both these teams in the past for 5 for Friday. BYU started off ranked. We thought this team was going to be pretty dang good in their last season here in independent before they head to the Big 12. And they've been pretty much disappointing. Jalen Hall's looked good, but the rest of the team has not. On the flip side, we have had Boise State, who really started off rough with just trying to figure out what was going on with their quarterback situation. Well, it seems like they've got that answer, and that's freshman Talon Green, who they are on a 4-game winning streak now, Boise State, and Talon has figured it out. The last 3 games that he's got the start, he has improved every time. As he wins against Fresno State, only goes for 127. Wins against Air Force, goes for 227. And then last week with the impressive win against Colorado State, throws for 305. Against this BYU defense, who has not been great at all, we could see that to continue to improve. We could see him surpass 300 again, and Boise State could turn out with another win. I think that's entirely possible. They're an 8-point favorite in this one with over under 54. And I like the favor of the Broncos here when they play at home here in Boise, Idaho, Steve.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm all Boise State on this game. BYU has stunk the last 4 weeks.
When I was looking at the stats, I just couldn't believe that they averaged defensively 420 yards per game. Like, I knew they were bad defensively, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Well, I thought they were thin. I didn't think they had the depth, but it's not even really an injury thing per se. They just have not played well, on the defensive side of the ball. And like you said, Hall's had a great statistical year, but that doesn't always just translate in. And it should be said that Green has more rushing touchdowns than he has passing touchdowns, which is fine. They have a great set of running backs. Let me make sure I get their names right. George Halani and Ashton Genty. They're a clock controlling backfield. They grind out the yards. They get into. I think Halani has 8 rushing touchdowns. Boise State, a good defense, not a defense where you set up and say, "Boy, this is one of the best in the country," but they just get the job done. And being at home, Boise State's on a roll. I really like them. I mean, I like them covering. I think no problem. They can give the 7 or 8 points or whatever it might be. I have no problem seeing them covering, and I could even see this game going on the over. Believe it or not, everything clicks if they can really not only control the clock and grind it out on the ground, but have some breakout runs either for TDs or getting them into scoring position. I can see this game going on the over. I don't know that I would confidently bet the over on this game, but I would definitely take Boise State given the points.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Halani, 6 touchdowns, actually, not 8. Close on that one. But in 5 of his last 6 games, 4 of his last 5 games. Look at math is hard apparently today. He has gone over 100 yards rushing. The only time he hasn't gone over 100 yards rushing is their most recent loss to UTEP when they lost 27-10. He had 75 yards. He still had a good time, but he's averaging over 5 yards a carry right now. In the last 2 games, before Colorado State, I should say, against Fresno State, he averaged almost 10 yards per game, and against per carry, and against San Diego State, he averaged 7, almost 8 yards per carry. Him averaging over 5 yards a carry is really going to help them against a struggling defense, not only thin, like you said, they're just really having a tough time. Jalen Hall is doing a fantastic job for BYU. Jaren Hall, I should say. I apologize. He's really helping his draft stock. BYU is bringing back that mentality of you're going to get a gunslinger and that's going to be ready for NFL Sundays. They've seen it with Zach Wilson. Now we're seeing it with Hall. That's great. Fantastic. That's a good thing especially when now you're going to the Big 12, because you're going to have to battle day in and day out in that Big 12, one of the deepest conferences that we can't stop talking about this year. But right now they have a lot of work to do, and I think they'll obviously be doing it without Hall next season. He'll be in the NFL draft. They got to really focus on that defense. I'm leaning towards Boise State here. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets out of hand, just like you said, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was the over as well whatsoever.